Alright, this is going to be the second video I do on such special right triangles, and in this video I'm going to focus on specifically 30, 60, 90 triangles. The last video I did, or the one that you probably watched, was 45, 45, 90 triangles, and 45, 45, 90s are usually the easier ones to work with, simply because, I mean, there's only two types of ways. They can usually give you problems. They either give you one of your legs, and if they give you your legs, it's a pretty simple problem. Suppose this is 5, then you should know that if this is 5, that's 5, and this is 5 radical 2. Not that hard. Or they could give you that this is some sort of number, and you simply take that, cut it in half, and multiply by radical 2. That's in the other video. 30, 60, 90s are a little bit more involved, but it's not that hard. If you can kind of memorize this triangle, it would really help, just before you're about to start taking a test or something, especially on the SATs. I mean, I think they already give you these triangles to work with, but if you already know them inside and out, it really does do wonders. 30, 60, 90. Well, I usually start out with my hypotenuse, which is right here, and that's what I labeled 2 times x. Now, what's x? X is just some number, okay? Suppose it's 5, right? That would make my hypotenuse 10, right? 2 times 5 would give me 10. I always like to think about it as the side opposite my 30-degree angle. Again, listen to what I said. The side opposite my 30-degree angle is always half of my hypotenuse. So that's why if this is 2 times x, then half of my hypotenuse will simply be x, right? Imagine that this is 2 times 5, which is 10. Half of that would give me 5, right? Not that hard to work with. So, I mean, if this was 20, for example, my hypotenuse was 20, the side opposite my 30-degree angle would be 10, right? I'm going to write it down for you. The side opposite the 30-degree angle is always 1/2 of the hypotenuse. I'm going to run out of space. Hypotenuse. So, I mean, if the hypotenuse was 30, then this side would be 15. And if you want to find the side opposite 60-degree angle, all you have to do is take whatever number you got right here and multiply that times radical 3. And this 45, 45 degree, 90-degree triangle, you multiply by radical 2 to find the hypotenuse. But in this case, if you want to find the side opposite 60 degrees, you take whatever number you got here and you multiply that times radical 3. So let's go through one final scenario. Suppose the length of my hypotenuse is 50. Well, the side opposite 30 degrees is going to be half of 50, which is 25. And then, if I want to find what my missing side is, I take 25 and I multiply times radical 3. Let's start doing our examples. The first example I'm going to take a look at will be, let me adjust. It's the best as I can get it. The first example will show me a 30, 60, 90-degree triangle. And, well, let's take a look. I'm given my hypotenuse, that's 10, right? And I always try to look for my 30-degree angle first. And in this case, it's located up at the top. So, where's the side opposite? Right here. The side opposite 30 degrees should be what? Exactly, it should be half of the hypotenuse. Well, and now that I have this number 5, what can I do? I can simply take this number and I can tack on a radical 3 to it. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Let's take a look at example 2. Example 2, similar problem, I think. But in this case, find where your 30-degree angle is. Kind of changes things up a little bit, right? My 30-degree angle is down here. This is what you normally want to locate. Don't get used to seeing 30-degree angle up here at all times. Always find your 30-degree angle. I'm given my hypotenuse, that's 18, so the side opposite should be what? That should be half of the hypotenuse, which is 9. And this final side should be fairly simple. All you do is take 9, and add on a radical 3. And that's easy. Let's take a look at example 3. Here it is. Example 3. Alright, example 3. Again, find where your 30-degree angle is. That's usually what you want to start with. 30, 60, 90. Here's my 30-degree angle. And, well, I wasn't given the hypotenuse this time, right? But, so what? I was given the side opposite 30 degrees. Well, didn't we say that the side opposite 30 degrees was half of the hypotenuse? So, if this is half of the hypotenuse, this should technically be 14, right? Remember, this is technically x, right? If I can show you, opposite 30 degrees is x. So if this was 7, this is 2 times 7, which is 14. And the final side, opposite 60 degrees, all you have to do is take 7 and multiply it times radical 3. Again, it just takes a while to get used to these problems, but they're not that terrible, right? It just takes practice. After a while, it becomes rote memory. Again, where's my 30-degree angle? Find it, and it's right there. That's across from 17, and again, ask yourself, or tell yourself, the side opposite 30 degrees is always half of the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse, technically, we have to take 17 and multiply it times 2, and that's going to give me 34. Very easy. And now to find this final side, that's going to be 17 times radical 3. Very easy problem. Alright, so now let's take a look at our example 5. This works a little differently, and it's usually the ones that most of us will get a little bit confused on, but I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible. If you take a look at your special right triangle formula, let me just find it. What am I looking at? Well, my 30-degree angle is down here, right? And I was not given the side opposite it or the hypotenuse, but I was given this as 8. Well, if you think about this, here's your special 30, 60, 90 formula. What I was technically given across from 60 degrees is x times radical 3. So I took some x value and I multiplied it times radical 3, and it happened to equal 8. So how do I undo this process? To kind of skip over the whole rationalizing process, I'm going to give you the quick and dirty method. It's very easy. All you have to do, take this number, which is 8, divided by 3. Don't worry about the decimal, leave it as a fraction. Fractions are your friends. Do 8 times, or 8 divided by radical 3. And all you're going to do with this number is multiply it times radical 3. And it's that easy. 8 over 3 times radical 3. Again, I took this number, divided by 3, and multiplied times radical 3. That's what you got to do. Now, how do I find the hypotenuse? Remember, the side opposite 30 degrees is half of the hypotenuse. So I'm going to take this 8 radical 3 over 3 and multiply it times 2. The only number I'm going to multiply by 2 is this number 8, and that's going to give me 16 radical 3 over 3. Let's try another one, shall we? And if you want to pause and kind of do this problem by yourself and then see how I do it, I definitely recommend it. But, well, I'm given the side opposite 30 degrees, right? Alright, so that's going to be a length of 10. Twice that would give me the hypotenuse. That's going to give me 20. And this is going to give me 10 radical 3. How about example 5? Example 7. Don't know what I'm saying. Example 7, what am I given? Well, I'm not given the side opposite 30 degrees. I'm given the side opposite 60 degrees, right? What do? If you follow my same technique as this example, what did I do with the 8? I divided it by 3. So let's do that first. I'm going to take the 2, I'm going to divide it by 3, 2 divided by 3, and then what do? I multiply it times radical 3. That's the side opposite 30 degrees. And now if I want to find my hypotenuse, I take this number and I multiply it by 2, which gives me 4 radical 3 over 3. let me do one final example. Let me just draw it. Here we go. Here's a 30, 60, 90 example. This will be example 8. So I'm going to give myself the side opposite 60 degrees. That's going to give me I'm going to give myself a 9, just to make the numbers work out a little bit nicer this time. So, look at your formula for your triangle. I'm given the side opposite 60 degrees, and that's x times radical 3, which is supposed to equal 9, right? How do I undo this? If you follow my technique, take this number and divide it by 3. 9 divided by 3 is what? It's equal to 3, right? So this would be a 3, but what do I do with this number? I have to add on a radical 3. Very easy. And now, if I want to find the hypotenuse, I'm going to take this and double it. That should be 2 times 3 radical 3 gives me 6 times radical 3. And that's it. So hopefully these examples help you. Let me know.